Hey, beautiful being. I am so happy to see you again. Welcome back to Ask Stephanie, and today we are going to dive into Wazim's question. Here it is. I have decided to focus more on getting to the void, the blackness, so that I can slow down my brainwave to alpha and my autonomic nervous system can take over and start cleaning the house. In your practice, did you go into the void only, into the blackness? Or did you practice elevated emotions for a longer period of time, like 1 hour a day alongside that? Okay, I think we need to start with talking about intentions. Because when I started my journey, I was very, very sick. I had 40 different symptoms. I wasn't sleeping. I was having violent reactions to everything I ate. And I was just super anxious and nervous all the time. And the only thing on my mind was to heal. But when you're in that state of survival, it's not that easy to heal. And it's not easy to calm that nervous system down and get yourself into that state where you're allowing and you're receiving and you're getting good ideas and you just relax for a moment. So that's probably going to be the hardest thing when you begin. And what I did, which is what you already know if you've seen my testimonial on Dr. Joe Dispenza's stage, is that I set an intention. And that intention was to heal before I went to an actual Dr. Joe Dispenza event. Now, that ended up happening to a certain point because my eczema did disappear before I got to that event. But there were stages of improvements and steps along the way that you can't really skip because you can't reprogram your mind and your brain in a heartbeat. You're probably living in a world where you've been programmed for decades into the person who you are right now. Everyone is that way because we've been programmed since we were born. And those programs are just rooted within your being. And the first part about change is to become aware of those programs, and it takes a while. And there's a lot of frustration that goes into that because you just want to get to that place, whatever that place is for you, whether it's getting into the void or healing your skin or getting out of pain or finding a relationship or making lots of money. We all have different reasons for doing the meditations and ultimately changing our lives. During the first year of my meditations, I was not getting into the blackness a lot. That's what I say on stage, perhaps not in the most eloquent way, but what I meant when I said that my meditations were not that great was the fact that I didn't always feel like I was meditating. I was just sitting around trying to fight my reactions, trying not to scratch my skin, trying to feel the bliss and the awe and the love and the joy that Dr. Joe talks about, and I couldn't. It took me a long, long time to surrender and let that loving energy flow through my body. Whatever it is that you're going through, I highly recommend setting an intention every single day and being really aware of it. Because if your intention is to heal, and if you're letting the universe know that you are open to that loving energy to flow through you and heal you, then that is going to happen. It is the law. Whatever you focus on long enough has to become reality. So during my first year, I wasn't in the void. I wasn't in the blackness a whole lot. I had periods of moments where I sort of disappeared, but my situation was so extreme and there were so many things going on with my body that I just couldn't get there. Then things slowed down and I started getting into this place that was very soothing. And I'm a little reluctant to talk about that blackness or the void because it's so personal for everyone. And so if I tell you what my experience is and exactly what it's like for me, you're probably going to start clinging to that, thinking that that's the right way. But there is no right way. Your way is the right way. The one thing that I would say is that practicing those elevated emotions throughout the day is key. You don't have to do it only in your meditation when Dr. Joe asks you to. You can do it when you're standing in a queue, when you're driving your car, when you're playing with your kids, when you're cooking food, whenever that is. And that's what I started doing. And then I think I've told this story before, but the main reason why I finally connected with the love within me and all around me and with Source was that I started thinking about my inner child and Stephanie at 4 or 5 years old, when she was so lost and so scared and bullied by 2 girls in my yard. And that's where it kind of just started to explode for me. My heart was just ripped open and I had so much compassion and joy and just respect for that girl, of how much she had to go through and how much she had to endure. And so whatever it is that takes you to that place that opens your heart is right for you. And that's why I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about what the blackness looks like, because it's gonna be different. All I'll say is that in some moments, I go to this place where my mind gives up. The thought patterns just quiet down. There is nothing going on. And the earlier in the morning I meditate, usually between 6 and 7, the easier it is for me to get there. And you will notice that when you play around with different times, with different places, when you see a correlation between how your mood was the day before and how the next morning meditation feels like, you'll start seeing patterns and you'll become better at doing things that work for you and setting yourself up for a good meditation. Speaking about intentions, I also do something that I learned at one of the events, and that was setting an intention before I start meditating. So every morning when I sit down to meditate, I tell myself silently and I have a little chat with Source before I start, just acknowledging the fact that I am so grateful to sit down and have this beautiful experience with Source and with universal energy that I know is doing everything right for me. And when I do that, I will have a magical meditation no matter what. It doesn't matter if I spend some time thinking about the spaghetti that I'm going to cook later in the day, or if I think about the work I'm going to do later, or if I'm wondering about something else that I shouldn't be thinking about right in that moment. It doesn't matter, because I've set the intention, and when I've consciously done that, I find myself going back to that intention over and over again throughout the meditation, and it feels really good. So to summarize, Wazim, do both, do all of it, throw everything you have at it. Practice elevated emotions when you can, all day, every day, wherever you are. Set an intention to go into the blackness and have the experience that you are longing for. And set an intention regarding the goal or whatever it is that you want to achieve with meditating and connecting with the Source. And as for the rest, you have to let it go. And the surrendering part is the hardest, because we are human doers, not beers. So we find it hard. I find it hard to let go sometimes, most of the time. And that is my daily practice, to have enough belief in that beautiful, loving energy, thinking that it knows exactly what I want and that it's delivering it to me in the perfect way. I'm sending lots of love to you, and I'll see you in the next episode.